African time. Thank you very much for sticking around as we begin the journal. You and I are in each other's company until 12 midday. And here we are on a Friday. Unfiltered is what we come up with every single Friday. And this time around, a conversation that I think will resonate with you and you and you and you, regardless of where you're tuning in from. Because at some point, when we look at the theme of success, if you will, it stops being defined by titles and qualifications or even achievements. It becomes about how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to the world around us, how we handle change, and whether or not we're living with our true intention, whatever that may look like for you. So growth in adulthood is often quiet. It shows up in the choices that we make on a daily basis, the habits that we build, the stories we release from our past, and of course the courage to keep evolving even when no one is watching. So here we are really unpacking and exploring what it means to grow as an adult. The mindset shifts that need to happen so that you can grow as an adult, and the disciplines and the practices that you have to engage in on a daily basis to ground yourself and to be more self-aware, to be fully yourself. A pleasure for me to connect once again with our regular guest. Thobile Mkhwanazi is back with us. She's a conversationalist and women's advocate at Sisterhood Connect. Thobile, it's always just such a pleasure. Welcome.
Always a pleasure, my queen. I'm not going to say good morning. I'll just say morning because I don't know if it is a good morning, right? And perhaps I'm not really having a good morning. And this is such a pertinent, it's such a relatable, such a relevant topic. One, again, that is just so deeply close to my heart. And you're quite right. It is for you and you and you and you and you. To all the Channel Africa listeners. For me, I've titled it Meaningful Growth. Meaningful growth because it isn't measured by age. It isn't measured by qualifications, they say, and it's certainly not measured by our career milestones and moments. But I think this topic for me, speaking from a human experience, is just measured by the intentional work that we have to do on ourselves on a daily basis. We speak about self-improvement, and it really speaks to the sentiment of cultivating the sentiment of discipline on a daily basis and not waking up with regrets, right? Because sometimes we do wake up with regrets. And for me, it's about, becoming more of who you are, becoming more of who you imagine to be for yourself. And it starts with awareness, my queen. It starts with awareness of who are you and just being aligned to what it is that you actually want to build. The other day, I do a lot of WhatsApp stories. And the other day, I was writing that the process truly matters. The process matters. And there is just no way around it but to go through it. And it's not an easy one. It's such a tough one because it speaks to discipline. It speaks to discernment. And you're right. People don't always clap for you. They don't always see the work that you're doing, but it's an everyday fight and an everyday pursuit, no matter what. It's like following a plan and not the mood.
I like that. Yes, that's exactly what it is. But I'm thinking, a normal question to ask would be, what does it actually mean to become a better version of yourself as an adult? But I don't know if I like that question, to be honest with you. Are we, and please help me here, help me think. And I love that you and I can think together and help one another along the way. Are we looking at ourselves as these things to constantly fix? I have to constantly fix. I have to constantly undo this blockage. I have seeing ourselves as projects to fix constantly. Is that not toxic positivity?
You know what? Perspective is everything. I don't think it's toxic because we are flawed beings. We are imperfectly perfect, but that is not an excuse to be horrible human beings. You know what I mean? And so I think the biggest project, it's been said, these are not even my words. The biggest project on earth is yourself. We may water many things, but what you need to water consistently is yourself. And so you have to look at yourself as a project. You have to look at yourself. It's not about, you know what it is? It's refinement, it's evolution. It's about connecting to who you truly are meant to be and what you were born for in this world. Why are we even here? Why do we even exist?
It's a good
You
question.
know? And so for me, it's just about refinement. And so, you know, self-improvement is like, it's a deliberate, intentional act on a daily basis. And it's about, in many ways, just understanding ourselves and understanding our flaws, understanding our habits, understanding our blind spots. Mina, I even have these conversations. I have them. And I ask people in my world, what are my blind spots? Because I do want to improve. I do want to become a better human being, not just for myself, but for my people and the world.
Yeah. Right. Becoming a better person. I mean, those are very good intentions, very noble intentions. And I think what we suffer usually as people that are constantly doing the work with good intentions is that sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find others that do the same, right? That carry that same vibration as you. So when you are stepping into that journey for yourself, how do you then, I mean, should you isolate, or how do you then relate to environments that insist on staying the same?
Sure, that's quite a deep one. How do you insist on environments that stay the same?
Yeah, how do you evolve as a person, as a human, in environments that are stagnant, that are not evolving with you? It's a difficult one.
It's a very difficult one, and I'm really taking it and processing it. I think there's a time and there's a place for everything. And I think it even speaks to part of the sentiment that we spoke about last week, in not forcing your way into things. And I think it goes back to being able to take a look at the woman in the mirror. I always use this term, and it's going to come up very often, because you need to have honest conversations with yourself.
Yeah.
And when certain moments and certain environments and certain spaces and people feel like they're not changing, your duty is not to change things. Your duty is not to change environments and people. Your duty is to constantly work on yourself.
Love it.
And when you have that awakening and that alignment, and you're constantly working on yourself, then you will know that it's time to say thank you so much. It's been great, but I'm out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, it's perspective. It's that mind shift. It's that paradigm shift of always knowing your truth and having honest conversations with yourself. Because often what we do is we do not have honest conversations with ourselves. And we stay in spaces and we stay in experiences that are no longer serving to us. Because, Tina, we are now on a pursuit. That's why when you evolve and when you're on this pursuit of self-improvement, it feels like you're walking alone. It feels like you're walking alone. And those are the moments that speak to you leaving certain spaces and leaving certain people, because your time is up with them and with that.
100%. I have to agree with you. She's definitely a thinker, without a doubt, conversationalist and woman advocate at Sisterhood Connect. We're having our own Sisterhood Connect here on Unfiltered Space, exclusive to the Journal on Channel Africa with Thobile Mkhwanazi. We continue our exploration on what it means to grow, what it means to outgrow, and really shift your mindset and become a better human being. We take a break and return.
Africa World Hour with Mkhwanazi.
Kiswahili is one of the most widely spoken languages in Africa, connecting millions of people across East, Central, and Southern Africa. What does World Kiswahili Day mean?
Swahili Language Day holds a deep meaning for us as a country, as Uganda, and all our people really recognize this. It's a day that celebrates not just a language, but a powerful symbol of our shared African identity, resilience, and aspiration for unity. Swahili is far more than just a foreign language or foreign tongue. It is our second official language. It is enshrined in the 1995 Constitution, and it's also a vital bridge that connects us to our brothers and sisters across the East African community and even the broader continent.
Africa World Hour with Mkhwanazi. Catch it on the Channel Africa app, SABC Plus, and on channelafrica.co.za. Weekdays from 9 till 10 p.m. Central African Time. Every headline has a human side. The Journal with Matseko Musito on the African Perspective.
22 minutes into 9 a.m. in Central African Time. Today on Unfiltered, we explore what it really looks like to be a grown person. Okay, and not just physically growing or just growing in age, but growing in mindset shift, growing in your discipline, in your practice, and how you can become more grounded and self-aware as a person, and just have the full experience of who you are. This is a journey. This is not a race, to get to the top as fast as possible, but it is a journey, and we're packing it with Thobile Mkhwanazi, conversationalist and women advocate at Sisterhood Connect. Thobile, you and I both know that it's quite a thing to do the work, to get in with good intentions, but I see that sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult to stay the course. Why is lasting change so difficult for us as human beings? You get into this thing with good intentions. I'm going to be more disciplined. I'm going to learn to speak my truth, or I'm going to be a better wife or a better husband, whatever the case is, or I'm going to do better in my business endeavors. But to make that transformation sustainable is a tough one. How do we navigate that?
So it's here my opening earlier on saying that it's such an everyday fight. It's an everyday challenge, because you need to honor the commitments. You need to honor the plan, because the mood, our feelings are up and down. They're inconsistent.
Yeah.
But it's also just understanding that it really, really is a process. The other day on Monday morning, I was speaking to a group of young girls, a mentorship program that I'm a part of. And my topic was, do not give up on yourself, because you're flawed. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have moments when it's just so hard. You're going to have moments when life constantly whispers that you're not worth it, that you shouldn't be here. But you need to choose yourself, and you need to know that you are worth it. Don't wait for people to tell you that. And so just even knowing that gives you enough ambition to keep going even when it's tough. So it is a journey. It is a process. And it does mean that sometimes you're going to have days when you just want to give up. Sometimes you're going to have days when you just don't want to do this thing. And the reality is that we're not given a report card as adults. It's easy as us, as adults, or aunt, or babekazi, or mamncane, whatever, to give, children, some sort of guideline and recipe and, all those sentiments. But we don't get given a report card on our emotional maturity, on discipline, on patience and character. Yeah. It's that sentiment of we're figuring it out as we're actually doing life, and it's just a constant decision and a choice that we have to cultivate on an everyday basis. And when you have those moments when you feel like, instead of taking 2 steps forward, you've taken 10 back, just yesterday I had that moment where I felt I took 10 steps back. And the grace that I'm currently going through, and the compassion that I'm currently going through in giving myself.
I don't know what it is. It must be something under this new full moon energy, because I experienced the exact same thing yesterday. between the South African Revenue Service and other things, it was just really falling apart. It was falling apart. But here we are in this pursuit of self-improvement, Thobile. We can sometimes maybe fall into certain traps, because everybody's watching everybody. So I see Thobile being a certain way, and I think maybe that's what I need to do. To be a better person. But I haven't really walked a mile in your shoes. So how do I find my own standing? How do I recognize the chapter of life that I'm in, and then navigate my way to a better way of being from where I am, not from where Thobile is or from where Sipho is or Mateko, but me as an individual. How can I, put on some clappers against my eyes and really look at and focus on my own journey?
Yeah. Well, when you focus on other people's journey, what happens? What does that do for you? What does it give you? You know, you don't have to earn your value by constantly achieving and understanding all those sentiments and all those things. I think we need to understand that the superpower is in our name, it's in our walk, it's in our journey, it's in our path, and understanding that you'll always be worth it. The reality is that we will never ever arrive.
Yeah.
We arrive somewhere, we arrive in a moment, we arrive with milestones, certain celebrations, certain achievements, and then what? We want more. We will never ever arrive. But what we do hope for in the never arriving is to evolve and is to constantly just choose yourself. We do have to shut the noises. You know, I was speaking to somebody the other day, she's a spiritual coach of mine, and she was just saying, I pray that this girl can just shut the noise down. Shut the noise down, because there's so much around us, and there's so much advice, and there's so much comparison in all of that. But you still have to just come back to self, connect with self, and take a look in the mirror and look at yourself as somebody that is worth it, that is here, that is born on purpose, and that is worth living a life that matters to you and that is significant to you. And it's not going to be the same as somebody else's. And that's why I say, looking at somebody else's life, what does that do to you? And what is the intention? You know, are you doing that because you're comparing, or are you doing that because you are taking some sort of light and inspiration from them for yourself?
Oh, those are the questions you need to sit with. And sitting with your darkness, I find, is also important, because we are so, taught now with this whole spiritual woo-woo that's going around on social media, that you've always just got to look at the light, which is a wonderful thing to do. But if you don't sit with your own darkness, you're never going to be able to sustain that light going forward. The role of community, Thobile, you mentioned that you've got a trusted small group of people that you constantly check in with. Let's talk about the role of, the people that we trust, that can have honest conversations with us, that can hold us accountable and help us grow.
It's everything. It's everything, because, without community, really, what do you have? So you have carte blanche to discern and choose who is in your community or in your communities, because different communities serve different purposes. One community can speak to this element of your life, the other speaks to another element of your life. So we do have carte blanche on who is our community, who are our communities, and what do they serve, how do they honor us. But it's so important, because as much as we can have honest conversations with self, you do need people that can hold you accountable. You do need people that can call you up. We don't call each other out. We call each other up to elevate us and to say, but remember the agreements that you have with yourself. Remember this commitments. And just people that allow you, to be vulnerable, And when you are facing your darknesses, which we all have, they can just allow you to face them and not judge you. Because the minute you have a community that is judging you and making you feel bad, then those are not your people. Those are not your people. But community, it's everything.
Community is absolutely everything. I have to agree with that, because nobody grows in isolation, at least not for the long term. Take those breaks to sit with your own stuff. But at the end of the day, you do need to come up for air. And coming up for air means that Thobile is right there next to me to have a conversation with me. Smangmang is there to pour me a cup of tea, or whatever the kind of support that you need. And we just pour into each other and have a good time. Thobile, it's always just such a pleasure. Thank you, my sis. I really, really appreciate these conversations with you.
It is always such a pleasure. I'm sure you felt or heard how heavy I am this morning, but it is such a pleasure to share and to serve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is always a gift. Really, it is. Thobile Mkhwanazi, as we wrap up our Unfiltered space for this week. 9:31, Fikile Ngwati standing by with the latest news.
Sports on Channel